Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the video. Today's vehicle is a 2014 GMC Sierra, and this thing is an absolute mess. Looking around this truck, and there's not a lot to say other than it looks like this thing just took a mud bath. There's literally mud everywhere, especially in the wheel wells and on the running boards. Does mean though that it's going to be very satisfying to pressure wash. Now moving to the inside, and instead of mud, there are piles and piles of dog hair everywhere. The leather seats are really dirty, and well, overall, there's either dog hair or some form of dirt or grime covering every surface. And now for those of you who are new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button and turning the bell on so you don't miss out on any future videos. All right, well, it's gonna take some time to get this mud buggy back to looking like a sleek and sexy truck. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so as you guys can see, it was cold this morning. This truck still needs to get detailed, so I'm obviously starting with getting this thing rinsed off. As you guys saw in the opening shots, it is absolutely covered in a layer of thick, wet mud. So of course, with this being a GM vehicle, it's got carpeted wheel well liners. So they unfortunately hold onto all that dirt and mud, and it just takes time to get them sprayed out. But it is really, really satisfying getting to watch all that mud just wash away. So while I continue to make an absolute mess of my driveway here, I thought I would let you know that I am currently running a 25% off sale on all of my merch from now until the end of October. I'm doing it for our Canadian Thanksgiving. So if you guys want to snag a t-shirt or a bunny hug, now that it's getting a little bit colder out, this is the perfect time to do it. The promo code is Turkey Day, and you can check out the links right below this video or in the description. Alright guys, so I tried to hold on as long as I possibly could, but I couldn't even feel my toes at this point, so I had to go in and throw on some warmer clothes and a toque. And I figured I'd remind you guys right now that if you want to see more behind the scenes stuff or sneak peeks of upcoming videos, or if you just want to say hey, you should be following me over on Instagram, as that is definitely the best place to stay up to date on things. Moving to the box here, and I'm basically just trying to get this thing sprayed out as best as I can. And then since it has a bed liner, I'll just remove that quick and use some APC and a soft brush on that in a minute. But with it out, I can get all that dirt that was hiding underneath. So I'm trying out this Meguiar's iron decontamination spray, and what this is going to do is react with any iron particles that are bonded to the wheels or to the paint, and when it reacts it turns purple, which is kind of cool. And then after a few minutes you just rinse it clean. So here I'm just spraying out the door jambs, and I'm making sure to be super careful with where I'm spraying and the angle that I'm spraying at, just to make sure I don't get any back spray going into the truck. Now right before the foam bath, I'm spraying on some bug remover since the front end was covered in bug guts that had clearly been on the truck for a very, very long time. So this is gonna safely dissolve those enzymes and make it super easy to get them off with a wash mitt later. So with the truck all foamed up, I always go around with a detail brush and get around all the emblems, the crevices, and behind the gas door, just to make sure I'm hitting those spots that the wash mitt is definitely going to miss. And now since I'm already looking forward to applying Aerospace 303 to the tonneau cover later, I'm making sure to wash it really well right now so the surface is perfectly clean and prepped. What I'm doing here, guys, is just trying to make a clean path for the tires so I don't end up tracking a whole pile of mud into the garage. So this is the aftermath of washing this thing. That's a lot of mud, wow. So while I've got the truck drip drying for a few minutes in the garage, I'll tackle these dirty floor mats with some all-purpose cleaner diluted 4:1 and a soft brush. What you can't quite see is how many times I actually got sprayed in the face, something that is always a challenge to avoid with WeatherTech mats. Alright, so with Mike giving me a hand here, we can get this truck dried super fast with these big absorbent microfiber towels. And if you guys are using any other kind of towel to dry, you should really consider picking one of these up. They're really, really nice to use. Alright, so now that Mike has bailed on me, it's time to turn to the interior and start getting all the loose items out of here. And honestly, guys, I always wondered in the back of my mind, if I would ever find items of a more personal nature. So it's definitely a bit of a shock to find that. But I had a good chuckle. I carried on to the center console where I probably should have expected this with this being a girl's truck. This thing was absolutely stuffed full of, I don't know, girl stuff. Like I don't even know how you'd find anything in there. It was like packed full. Turning to the underside of the back seat where most of that dog hair is, and using the lily brush, it makes really quick work of the majority of hair here, even though it is slightly more challenging with this fabric not having a solid surface underneath it. It still does a phenomenal job for how cheap this brush is, and really only takes a couple of minutes to get the hair out. If you guys have ever had to deal with pet hair like this, I highly recommend picking up a lily brush. They're super cheap on Amazon. I've got the link in the description along with nearly every other product and tool that I use if you want to check that out. Moving on to cleaning all the interior trim, and for this I'm spraying on some all-purpose cleaner diluted 10:1 onto a slightly damp microfiber towel, and I always keep a detail brush handy to get down into any of the crevices if I need to. Now with the center console area, since it was so grimy and dirty, I'm just spraying the APC straight onto it and then using the brush to agitate, really get into all those tight cracks and the crevices. And once I'm satisfied that all the dirt and the grime has been loosened, I'll wipe it all down with a microfiber towel. Now of course there seemed to have been a number of spilled drinks in the cup holders, and that crud was just like firmly attached. So using my McCulloch steamer, I'm blasting it all with steam to help soften and loosen all the grime. It also does a really good job getting down into those cracks to get stuff loose, and then I'll follow up with a detail brush to agitate and then wipe it all down with a microfiber towel. So since I've actually got this truck overnight, I'm going ahead and doing the mechanical decontamination of the paint using clay bar. So using some quick detailer as lubricant, I'm then using the clay to help remove any surface bonded contaminants like tar or road grime or any remaining iron particles that didn't get removed earlier, making sure it's perfectly clean and smooth before applying a sealant. Now with the paint perfectly clean, I'm using my polisher to apply a Meguiar sealant, which is going to give this truck about 6 months of protection as we head into winter here, but also add a ton of gloss. Alright, so I'm up bright and early the next morning here to start on these carpets, and I figured I would show you guys my full extraction process here. So once I've got the section pre-treated, I'll make my first few passes to get the majority of solution out. But then even though the carpet looks good, I know there's still solution in there. So I'll spray on some hot water and basically just continue to extract until the water comes out clear. And for those of you who may not know, the extractor I'm using is a Bissell Spot Clean Professional that I got off Amazon. And I've been using it for quite a while now, and it is hands down the best piece of equipment that I have bought. But not only that, it's also the funnest to use. I definitely find myself looking forward to using this thing. So if any of you have ever wanted to buy a unit like this, I highly recommend you check this one out. The link is in the description if you guys are interested. Moving back to the interior trim, And now that the carpets are done, I can get the trim UV protected. And for that, I'm using my absolute favorite product, and that is Aerospace 303, which is going to leave the whole interior UV protected and with a nice matte finish when it dries. So surprisingly, Mike wanted to pitch in again here, and he's actually wearing gloves this time since you guys had given him a hard time last week for going gloveless. And although he still has a super short attention span, it is pretty nice to have his help sometimes, even if he is a total goof. So one last step before finishing this detail, and that is to UV protect all the black exterior trim with 303, but most importantly that tonneau cover. And it always seems like 303 was just made for these, as it looks so incredibly good once it's dry. All right guys, and 10 hours later, we are done with the Sierra. This thing is looking super pretty now. If you guys enjoyed the video and if you enjoyed seeing Mike, make sure you smash the thumbs up button. I know he really appreciates that. And yeah, that's all I've got for this one, so I will see you guys in the next video.